Alright, what's going on, guys? Modification here. So today, well, not myself, but something happened about a couple of days ago, and I wouldn't say it's the biggest thing ever in modding, because like a lot of things like this has happened before. A lot of people have like quit modding and that. It happens fairly regularly. Even people who haven't really done much within the community in terms of like making mods as such. Or like well-known people. Um, but this one was like it was pretty. It was kind of like, for me personally, it made me understand a lot of things, and I'll get to that in a bit. But I just thought I'd start off by like giving like a basic sort of rundown of what happened, and then I'll finish it off with like the actual thing that got released itself. So for a while, well, when I say a while, I mean a couple of months now, maybe even longer than that. I'm not sure. I've known a guy called TwainModding. I've done a lot of videos, or well, not a lot, but I've done like 3 or 4 videos on a menu that well, not a menu, multiple menus that he's made. He started off about a year ago. In fact, if you want, I'll leave the 17th post that he left for everyone, to so you can read it. I'd recommend reading it. It kind of, it makes a lot of things, well, it makes a lot of things make sense. I suggest you take a look at it. It seems quite long to read, but it's not really that long. It'll only take you a couple of minutes to read it, but you know and just go and take a look at it. I'll leave it in the description. Essentially, what he says is, he's been modding for about, well, when I say modding, I mean he's been like coding, I guess you could say, for about a year now. He started about a year ago, and he started off with whatever he started off with. Making a menu. He wanted to make a menu called Blue Sky, and he made this menu, and I remember it, back then. Quite a sick menu, but it wasn't, obviously it wasn't all there. And eventually, over time and time, it starts getting better and better and better. I remember making a video on it. The first time I made a video on it, I remember thinking like either I said at the time, because I didn't even think this was the case, but I said at the time, um, I thought he would have got the stuff from Leroy that he had in the menu. When I say Leroy, the other person who made mods at the time, I thought he got the code from Leroy. He did have help from certain people, but like he was making his own stuff, pretty sick stuff. And obviously, I found out at a later date, and I know now that it was him doing it, and I didn't know that at the time. I said it's either him doing it and he's really good, or he's got the code from people, but he's still pretty good. And it was the case that he was really good. He speaks about how he got help from Trey's, like TREYZ, I think it is. And he's he sort of, he started off small, and then he got to a bigger place and a better place, all in the span of like a year. Quite mental to think that you could learn like that much stuff in a year if you put your mind to it. But anyway, so essentially, if you want to take a look at his post, I suggest you do. Honestly, it really kind of opens your eyes a bit. You're like, sort of, in what modding community is and stuff. There's other things that I would say to go and read, like similar to this, by other people who have like done the same thing, where they get to a certain point within, not just modding scene, but in this term it would be the modding scene. You could even say the modding community. It's not even like that anymore. But I've got a friend called PC Freak, and he's like, a similar thing happened to him a while ago, and it was kind of like, he's got like a blog or whatever on his website, and it basically explains similar sort of things to what Twain went through, and a lot of other people in the scene. And he's got his own way of thinking about it, and it's quite sick. Like sick in a good way, and also potentially you could say like sick in a bad way. But yeah, so Twain released his Blue Sky, his menu. He released a source as well, which is quite. To be absolutely honest, he worked a lot of obviously worked on it for a long time. That's quite a big thing for him to do. You know, like there's a lot of stuff in there that, you know, like for example, you know, like tricks your aimbot. You know, like that's quite a big thing, you know, that a lot of people I'm sure will use in their own menus, and maybe they'll try and make the menu better. And you know, sometimes what the community does is, when I say the community, I mean the modding scene. I'm sure a lot of people have done it before. They'll take stuff out of menus and they'll use it in their own menus, and they won't give credit. And I'm not going to say that I've never done that before, because I'm sure in the past I've probably done that. You know, like you know, when you edit a patch, you know, like a TU6 patch for the first time because you've never done it before. You know, like when I say this, I mean like years ago. I'm sure that I've taken someone's name out of somewhere and put my name there 100%. But obviously that wouldn't happen now. But essentially, there's a lot of stuff in the menu. The source is right here. You can go to the 7 post that he made at the bottom of there. You'll see the download link for it. If you want to just, you know, if you want to just not edit it and just discard the source, you know, if you just go into the DLL underscore load folder, I nearly said .dll, and then go into the debug, and then you'll see the DLL underscore load.dll in there, and then you could just stick that on your Xbox and load it up on TU8, and you know, have fun with it. I mean, it's on a level, it's quite a sick menu. I'll just, at the end of this video, I'll leave a bit of footage of the menu, and you'll see it's an insane menu. On a level, it's really good. It's the it's Blue Sky 3.1. That's where, you know, he ended it essentially. I'm sure that if he'd have carried on, I'm sure that he would have made better things. In the same way that, you know, there's a lot of people in the, well, not in the scene, but people who have been in the scene, and the same things happen. You know, there's a lot of big names where they start off somewhat small, or maybe even a long time ago they started off small, and then they get to something like amazing, and they, you know, learn all these things, and you know, you get better at it. And it's kind of like a sort of like a thing that happens in, not just in the modding scene, obviously, like in anything, you know, in sports, in whatever, you know. Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll leave the link in the description for the to the 7 post. Honestly, I suggest you read it. It's a good read. You know, it's not that long. It might look long, but just give it a read. Yeah, and I'll just yeah, I'll leave that in the description, and I'll put a little bit of, not gameplay, but a little bit of action with the menu, and you'll see, you know. But yeah, so that's about it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, I guess. Yeah, goodbye.